Hey everybody, it is Monday, September 10th. It's in the morning. It's about 20 minutes before my contract hours begin. I got here over an hour ago and I feel like I've got nothing accomplished. I have this huge to-do list and as you can see, I only have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 things off of it. So, I have a busy day ahead of me. Not every single thing on this list has to get done today, but a lot of it needs to get done within the next day or two. So I'm going to look through. I got one more thing done. So I got 6 things done. I just haven't marked it off. So I am going to go through and kind of prioritize and see what needs to get done first, and kind of make a second to-do list. And yeah, so I have a busy day. So like I said, I have 15-20 minutes till contract begins, so I still have some time to get some things done. But I'm going to clean off my desk and get my copies ready and just lay out my lesson plan book, which is already laid out, but kind of lay it out a little better. And that reminds me of something else I was going to do, which I could do pretty quickly, maybe. I don't know where that information is. Okay, so anyways, I just wanted to check in. Today we have a pretty busy day. We are starting another week of our reading curriculum. We are on week 4, I believe, and we're reading 2 expository text articles in there. They have a written response journal, and we're going to be reading those this week. But today specifically we're reading one called Follow That Ball, and it's about how soccer is becoming, I don't know if it's important in the United States or just a big thing in the United States. And gonna start discussing the vocab words for today, which are surge, stamina, and dissatisfied. So we're gonna talk about idioms, and we're gonna talk about the prefix dis. And then we're going to kind of be reviewing some text features, because that's been kind of the main comprehension strategy that we've been focusing on. I'm going to introduce our centers. I'm going to introduce the expectations, the procedures, and kind of show them where the materials are, and just all of that. I don't know that we'll get to a practice round, but if we do, that'd be great. I haven't even split them in groups. At some point I need to do that. But definitely just talking about them, discussing, showing them at least, so that way their mind's getting ready for that to happen. Later, we are going to be working on just reviewing parts of speech. And today specifically, we're just going to be working with nouns and proper nouns. And we might get to our personal narrative writing. And if so, we are going to be adding an emotional hook to it, and then we would be listening to the story. I would do a read aloud of, I don't remember what book it was today, My Rotten Redhead Brother. And later for math, we are still on our module 1. We're on lesson 4, I think, because we were doing a different math curriculum. We got a new one, so we're starting over. We're on lesson 4, which is just comparing and ordering 7-digit numbers. So they have a journal page to practice that for independent practice. And social studies, we're still on chapter 3, which I believe was the explorers in the Spanish explorers in America, chapter 3. So I think they're going to, sorry, I keep looking at my plans. I think they're going to be rereading that chapter with a partner. There was one question we went ahead and left out because I felt like they needed a little bit more time to spend in the chapter, and they'll probably fill out a social studies note sheet just about facts that they learned. And for science, we are going to get out our science books, and we are going to start talking about our unit of physical science, and today is just what is matter. So we're going to just be reading about matter, discussing it, and then they're going to do some kind of 2 wrap-up questions, and they're going to answer what is matter. And then the other one, they're going to talk about, do sand particles have mass, as their kind of independent work for science. So a very busy day. At some point I also need to get something up in the hall for back to school night. So I usually have them do a self-portrait, and it has kind of their favorites on the side. And a lot of times they leave the name blank and I just have the parents guess who. But this time I think I'm going to have them write their name, and then they're also going to do a bio poem. And I probably am going to just like put them like above and below each other is what I think. And I also printed off a invitation that they can color and create to invite their parents to back to school night. I figured hopefully, that was loud. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That is not good. I'm gonna cry. I think I'm going to cry. So anyways, I think I'm gonna have them do that today. The invitation, I think just having some kind of ownership in creating that invitation, that they'll be like, Mom, don't forget to come. So hopefully we'll have a good turnout. That's tomorrow night. Okay, so my SmartBoard is broken. It's been broken for over 2 weeks, and I haven't heard anything. So I sent a message to our help service desk and asked like what is the update, and they told me that the person that it was assigned to is on military leave and that they won't be returning until like the end of this week. So it's going to be a while, because from what I've been told, it's going to need like parts or something. I want my SmartBoard. So anyways, that's kind of our day. So I will check in and let you know what we actually get done, but that's the plans. And so it's going to be a busy day. We are also going to be reviewing procedures, expectations, and at some point, if we ever get a chance, we are going to start applying for their class jobs. Whew, busy day. All right, I'm going to go get to work. Hey everybody, it is about 12:20. I have about 10 minutes left of lunch. And so I just figured I would check in with you guys and just tell you kind of how our day is going. I have gotten only one more thing off my to-do list, I think. But that's okay, because I have to teach, but I got a little bit done when they were working independently. So we were able to get to our Making Meaning reading lesson. We read the article, we discussed it, we went over the vocab for the day, and then I remembered that I had them making something for the hall for back to school night tomorrow. And it's just a self-portrait, and they draw themselves and then write down a couple of facts about them. Typically in the past years, when I've done it, I've had them leave their name blank, and then I just had to like guess who, and the parents guessed which was their student, but some wrote their name, some didn't. So the other thing that we're going to work on is a bio poem sometime today or tomorrow. Probably today for our writing piece, just to get it out of the way. So, sorry, my allergies. Anyways, what was I going to say? So we did that, and then we also, they started working on creating an invitation for parent night. Most of them are finished, if you are not. So when we come in from lunch, while we're taking like our group restroom breaks, I'll have them finish up. We haven't had dear time yet, so I will probably have them read after lunch, like after we take our breaks and all of that. So not a lot accomplished, like curriculum-wise. We're a little bit behind. I think we didn't do centers, but I did introduce all of the reading and explained it to them and kind of just went over the expectations and procedures. And then obviously we'll be modeling and practicing a lot in the beginning. But I just kind of wanted them to know what to expect, which is great because in 4th grade, most of their teachers use like centers or stations rotations, and we kind of have similar models. So a lot they'll be familiar with. So that is my day. Behavior-wise, my kids are doing pretty good. Just a few, when we were working on our reading lesson, we have a few still kind of blurting out, or when it's someone's time to answer a question, like the word was dissatisfied. And we talked about the prefix, we talked about how it's an antonym of satisfied, and then we discussed, just they told me at a time that they had felt dissatisfied. And then it felt like anytime someone would like say something, they'd be like, oh, I was dissatisfied with my food. And then everyone would just start talking and like wanting to like talk with their table group or just like near them about either when they were dissatisfied with food or just about random topics. So I just kept kind of like reeling them back in and explaining like this is going to make the lessons take longer. We can't all interject or, have conversations. So we're just working, still kind of training them because we're still new into school. We've only been in school maybe 14 days, I think. So that's my lunch update. We'll see how my afternoon goes. I still have to do math. I still have to do science. Those are the two top priorities. Social studies, if we don't get to it, that's okay because we've already just read the chapter. We've already discussed it, answered some of the questions. We were just going to kind of reiterate and like do some review and notes before we take our quiz this week. And for English, I was planning on going over nouns and proper nouns just as a review, but I don't know. We have Making Meaning or Being a Writer workbooks, like a student practice book, and it has grammar in it. So I might go ahead and pass those out, and it starts with subject and predicate. So I might just do that instead. So we'll see. So I still have a lot to do. I still have a lot left on my to-do list, but when they were working independently on their student portraits, I started working on putting my STEM bins together. I had put out an email like a week ago and just kind of listed some of the items that I would need in my STEM bins, and I've had kids bringing in items over the past few days, plus I already had some, so I just decided to get them up and going, so that way when we start our stations or centers, they'll be ready. And because that will always be like a math center for sure. I might move it to reading, even though it's not necessarily like a reading, but it is ELA because they do a lot of writing in their like STEM journal and talk about why they created something or what worked or what didn't and that kind of thing. So we'll see, but definitely during like our math block centers. So that's my day. I'll check back in with you guys in a little bit. Hey everybody, it is now, what time? It's 6:03 and it is still Monday. I just dropped off my son at soccer and I am going to run to Kohl's because it's not very far from soccer practice. I have about an hour and a half until his soccer practice is over. That's if they end on time. And so I'm just gonna make a quick errand. I went and got my daughter some clothes a few weeks ago and they left on the little tag thing. I don't know what it's called. So I need to have that removed. I'm hoping I have the receipt. I found 2 Kohl's receipts, but they were so, what's the word? Like, I don't know, faded from just being like in my purse, and there's all kinds of who knows what in my purse. So it didn't like keep them new. So I'm hoping one of those receipts is what the shirt is on, so they don't think I stole it. Or maybe they can pull up my payment information. I don't know. I know some places like pull it up based on like the card that you paid with, and then I know other places don't. So I don't remember how Kohl's works. So fingers crossed that it works. So I'm going to go do that. I might do a little retail therapy and just kind of look around and just see if I can get something. I'm kind of down in the dumps in a way. My morning went well, overall went well, and my earlier part of my afternoon went okay, and then the rest of the afternoon, I mean, it went good, but it was just, I have a student that is proving to be a bit challenging. I mean, I have a few for sure, but one in particular, I just haven't quite figured it out or what I'm going to do about it. So that's just been kind of on my mind. So I'm kind of just been like, not in the best. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood, but I'm not. I just kind of had to keep reminding myself today, like, God put this child in my classroom for a reason. God put this child in my classroom for a reason. God put this child in my classroom for a reason. Just over and over. And yeah, so I'm trying to process. I talked with the teacher from last year and just asked if she had any tips or tricks. And I'm just trying to figure it out. So, I mean, it's a new year and new student, so you're just trying to figure out the dynamic of your classroom. We're still working on procedures. We're still working on expectations. But I'm trying to nip a few things in the butt, hopefully earlier on. So anyways, I checked in with you in the morning and at lunch. My afternoon went pretty well. When we came in from recess, like lunch and recess, we finished working on the parent invite and they took restroom breaks. And then we had our deer time because we didn't earlier in the day. And so we did not get to our English. Like we didn't get to go over any of like the parts of speech or what else? Or like do any writing. But that's okay. Then, sorry, it's about to yawn. And the after that was our math block. That went pretty well. We're working with comparing and ordering 7-digit numbers. So I just had a bunch of different pieces of paper and I just wrote 0 through 9 on the papers. Sorry, the sun is in my face. And I just laid them all over my small group table. And then I just called 5 students. Yeah, did I call 5 students? That doesn't sound right. I think I called like 5 students, I think. And they just randomly selected a number and then they just got in order like by my small group table. And then we looked at it and we asked like, what is that number? And so they would say like it's 547,112 or whatever. And then we talked about how could they rearrange their numbers to make the greatest number. So they did that. And then we talked about like how they got to that or like why they chose that method. And then we went to how could they make the smallest number, like the least amount. And then we decided, what else did they do? They found the number like closest to 30,000, I think. And then they found, I had them do the number between, like the closest number between like 40 and 50,000 or something, I don't know, along those lines. But basically just rearranging those numbers over and over for different things, like least amount, greatest amount, and in between, and just those kinds of conversations. And then I called a different group and had that group do the same. They just randomly selected numbers and we just talked about them and how we knew certain things. Like if it was like, if someone put the 0 at the front and it was like 01287, like how do we know that that was like 1,000 versus 20,000 or something. So we just had those kinds of conversations, and then they started working independently on their math journal page, and it was pretty similar. Well, first we worked together, we worked some more problems together, and the journal had like just different card numbers, like it looked like cards on their sheet, and then it asked them some questions, and so we worked through that and talked about it together. And then they worked independently, same thing, it gave them some numbers, and they answered similar questions, like what's the least amount, greatest amount, find the number that's closest to like 1,100,000 or, just various things. And then on the back it had like roll a number cube, and then they just did that like 7 times, I guess, and then they just had 7 random numbers, and then they did the same thing kind of with it. So it went pretty well. Most people seemed like they were understanding. We had a few that struggled, but not too bad. So I'm thinking that it went well. I need to grade. I have so much grading to do. Oh my gosh. So much. And so it seemed like it went well. I think everyone finished, hopefully. I know that I didn't give them like a gazillion hours to work on it, and just told them that now we're to the point where we're going to have to start taking stuff home if we can't get it completed. Like, we cannot just wait until every single person in our classroom is done to like move on. We have to move forward. And so then we put that away and we got to science, and we just did a what does matter lesson. Our books are pretty small, so they don't have like a lot of meat to them, but it just gives the basic concepts and it introduces. So we're starting physical science as our first unit, and then matter is the first topic. And really, we just talked about what is matter, and we defined mass, I think. There was one other question. I don't remember. But then they just did a wrap up, which is 2 questions. They did that in their binders under their science tab, and we'll just keep those wrap ups in there for over the course of like the week or so, and then I'll like grade them. And that was it. We didn't get to social studies, which is fine. Typically, we aren't able to get science and social studies in on the same day, but I usually just plan for it just in case. For now, once I get better at my schedule and figuring out, then I'll know like exactly when I'm doing what. Some of this grades and some of the teachers choose to do like science one week and then social studies one week, or some do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday type of deal. But we are not state tested in social studies. We are in science, so it is a little bit more important that we cover all of those topics. So that's why I'm not super comfy with doing the 1 week on, 1 week off type of thing. And obviously we're going to integrate social studies whenever we can in our reading block to help, but it's just always, it can't always be fit in. So anyways, I'm at Kohl's, so I'm going to run in and look around, and then hopefully they can get this tag thing off. It is this lovely tag. And I might look around and just see if I can find anything, and maybe it'll make me feel just a teeny little bit better. All right, and when I get back, I'll try to kind of talk with you about my student issues. Hey guys, it is 11 o'clock at night. It's still Monday, and I am at home. I was filming, and I went into Kohl's, and then I filmed when I got out. But I think I'm going to delete the footage. I was talking about that student that I was having problems with, and I'm just not sure if I want to share everything because I don't feel like I was making exact sense. So I think I'm going to talk about it, but like once I can think it through. So I just wanted to update you because I did go into Kohl's, and they were able to remove the little tag, no problems. And I told you I was going to try to do some retail therapy. Didn't find really anything, which is surprising. Nothing really was sticking out to me. So I went to like their jewelry, and I found 2 pairs of earrings, and I'm just going to show you those. And even then I still wasn't like super impressed, but I got these. I don't know if you can see them that good. Basically one is like each hoop has 2 hoops, but one is like textured and one is just like regular. They're by Lauren Conrad. They're pretty cute, but not like the cutest. And then I got these other just stud type earrings, which normally I never wear these. I only wear like dangly type earrings, but these were the only other cute pair. They were buy one, get one half off, and I had a $15 reward, so that's why I decided to like buy something. And I think I only spent like a few dollars once it was over. I think one pair was like $14 and one pair was like $12. So that's all I got. It did not really make me feel any better. And I was hoping to find like a cute fall like dress or something, but didn't find anything that I was like in love with. And then I sat in the parking lot talking and filming and trying to decide if I was going to go to Michael's, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I just wanted to just show you those earrings because I figured I might forget by the time the morning rolls around. Once I kind of got home, I kind of had a pity party. Like the more I thought about like the student and like the issues, the more stressed I felt. Like I started feeling sick to my stomach because I was trying to think of like different situations and how I like handled things, and thought maybe if I would have handled something little differently, like maybe it would have had a better outcome. But sorry, got a message. So I don't know. I was just like rethinking lots of things, like things that the student has done, things that like I said or how I handled things, and just felt like maybe it should have went like a different way. And I was like rethinking about like the email that I emailed the mom, and I don't know, I just didn't really love it. And so I just kind of started stressing, and I like decided to try to find some like strategies and just think through different ways that I can kind of like break down this wall. I have handled things with pretty good caution because the student has a wall built up. They come to school every day pretty much saying that they don't want to be there. When can they leave? They're not happy. They hate school, which is always so fun. And I keep getting sidetracked. So, like, my mind is not working. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm so sorry. But basically, I was just trying to figure out the best solution and what I could do differently and how I can improve things, because if this is how the year is going to go, especially today, because we've had our ups and downs, but today was one of the more challenging days, I feel like it's going to be a really hard year. It's going to be a hard year for me. It's going to be a hard year for my class. It's going to be a hard year for the student. And yeah, and it's hard to express like what that student is doing, because in my mind, when I was trying to explain it earlier, it didn't feel like it made sense. And I figured like, okay, this is what I would tell someone A, B, C to do. And it's like, those don't work. And it's more extreme than like if I just said like the student's like very disruptive and like blurts out. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's just more severe than like a typical like blurting out type of student. And it really has to do with tone and like the manner of it is a lot, but I don't know. So I kind of had like a moment where I felt pretty good, and then the more I thought about it, I just kind of like got really just down in the dumps and stressed and kind of just like wanted to cry and not go to work tomorrow. Like honestly, I was like dreading going to work tomorrow all because of this, and that shouldn't be how it is, because I have, you know, lots of other students who are in my classroom, and you know, they want to learn, they want to be there, and so I just have to make it the best learning environment I can for them and just see what I can do. So tomorrow's a new day for me, a new day for that student. You know, it's a new day for me to handle things in a different way. It's a new day for me to try a different strategy and try to build connections and relationship with the student. Sorry, I'm kind of getting emotional. So yeah, it's just a new day, guys. So I will update you. I feel like tomorrow, shortly after school starts, I want to pull the student aside and just talk with them and just let them know, like, hey, we had a rough day yesterday, and we've had several days in the past where we haven't, you know, had the best of days. But today's a new day. Today's a new day for you. Today's a new day for me. Like, even if we start off the morning rough, like, we can always turn it around. Like, because this person just assumes, like, if they had, like, a rough morning that, like, oh, well, mom's getting emailed, so I'm just going to keep being bad. Like, they literally said that to me today. And I reassured them that I had not emailed mom, and it didn't matter. So, and I'm going to talk with them and just see if they feel like there's something that I can do to help them be more successful. Whether that's like a seating change placement, or letting them have like a safe spot when they're feeling frustrated, or if they feel like some kind of reward system would work. A lot of times I feel like if I talk with a student one-on-one and let them know that they have a choice in the matter, then it seems like it works. So I'm going to try that and see if I have any success with it. So I'll update you guys whenever I can. Bye, guys. Hey, everybody. It is Tuesday. It's 9:11, and it's my lunchtime. I only have about 10 minutes left, but I wanted to check in with you since I wasn't able to this morning. And I cannot believe it's Tuesday, guys. It feels like way late in the week. It has been a week already. So I didn't get to check in with you this morning. Busy morning. I was trying to get things ready for the day, plus back to school night, tonight, and yeah, so I was just busy. So today our schedule's kind of been thrown off altogether. I already thought it would be because I have some housekeeping things I want to do, like I'm going to have them clean out their cubbies, and I'm going to have them, we have some supplies that I wasn't sure that we would keep, so they need to take those home. We have textbooks that we're no longer going to be using, so we're going to take those out, and we are also going to go through our desk and kind of reorganize it and just clean it out. So I thought that was going to kind of throw off our schedule a little bit, but then I forgot about 9/11. I mean, I didn't forget about it, but I wasn't really sure what I was going to do yet, I guess is more of the way I should say it. So when I lesson planned, I just lesson planned for a normal day and just wasn't planning on any like 9/11 activities. But then this morning we had a brief discussion about 9/11 and how if we're discussing it or talking about it or watching a video, we need to be respectful. And my smartboard doesn't work, so some of the activities I've shown or done before, I couldn't because my smartboard. But there's a video on Flocabulary under, like, I think I just searched 9/11, and we watched it before. It's really good. It's a song, and it just kind of has, like, flashbacks of, like, the 9/11 scene and, like, the memorial and things like that. God, my allergies, guys. So I just decided I was going to try to play it. I turned my monitor around where it was like facing the group of students and just told them like, you just kind of watched the images, but it's more about listening. And if you can't see, I can replay it a couple times because it's short. But everyone was able to see. No one complained. We just made it really dark in here. I closed like all the blinds earlier, and then we just played it. And everyone kind of was like very like somber and like quiet when it was over, and was just like, wow, that was like so good but so sad. It's a very powerful video. The chorus is kind of like we never got to say goodbye, and it just talks about basically like everyone went to work that day like it was a normal day, and then it was tragedy. And then it just kind of talks about facts like how many people died and like a timeline of like when the first plane hit and second plane and when the buildings collapsed. So then we read a Newzilla or News ELA, whatever you want to call it, article, and it had 4 comprehension questions. And I read it to them, and then the questions kind of told them to go back like under this heading and then read like this part and then answer the question. And it worked good because we kind of talked about the text features within our article because we've been learning about text features. So we pointed out like the caption, we pointed out like the subheadings and things, and they did their comprehension. It was very quiet. Everyone was like focused. They were kind of rereading what they should read. And then we just graded it together to kind of cut down on some of the things I have to grade. So it'll just be a little comprehension grade for them. And then it was on my TPT, so I never have used it before, but it's a timeline activity. It has a couple parts to it, but the first part's multiple choice, and it has a website that you go to, and then it has like 20 questions, and it asks like when did the first tower hit, and when did this happen, or how long did it take for them to rescue like these people. And I knew I was planning on going to the computer lab today or trying to get our CAL, which is computer on wheels. It's just Chromebooks. And they were like, I think we should just get the CAL. So we tried that. It took a while because the CALs do not work like our classroom Chromebooks, but we only have 5 in our classroom. Half of them were like dead, so we had to go to another teacher and borrow some of hers, but she wasn't using it, so it worked out well. And just getting logged on and dealing with all that. But once they got logged on, typed in the URL and started looking, they were so into it. My class was so quiet and like so engaged. At first it was a little tricky, them navigating the timeline, and it has videos throughout and pictures and things that you have to read, but they caught on pretty quickly and they kind of enjoyed the challenge. And a lot of them were like learning facts that had nothing to do with what they were being asked, but they were just really into it. And they just kind of kept saying like, wow, this is so interesting, or that was really sad, and like would show me a picture or something. So, I mean, it seemed like it made an impact and that they enjoyed it. So that was good. So that we pretty much spent our morning doing that. Once they were finished with the timeline activity, they were able to have a little bit of free time on the computer. Most of them chose typing.com, but a few just chose other like game type websites. So decent day. I keep waiting for it to get bad because, you know, from like the clip before, I have been having a few students like on the struggle bus. But so far, that said student is doing a great job today, so that's nice. I was going to pull them aside and just talk with them and ask them some strategies or things that we can do to help them be more successful. But since they're doing such a good job, I just didn't want to I didn't want to start the day with like a negative. Like I just wanted to see how the day went. So I think at some point I am going to pull them aside and just tell them like, hey, I love how we are working today. You're doing such a good job. And then kind of bring it up in a conversation like that. But I just didn't want to start it yet. So I think when we come back from lunch, we will... I don't know. We usually... Oh, we're going to take a whole class bathroom break. I told them I was going to take a whole class bathroom break from now on for a little bit instead of sending groups because they're taking a while and a few people have been messing around. So we will take a whole class bathroom break today. Need to watch the time because I'm going to have to go soon. And then when we get back, we will probably go ahead and do, I don't know if I'm going to do the housekeeping or not. I need to write the bio poem. And because I want to have that in the hall too if I get a chance. It's not super important, but it's just a nice little writing activity. So we might do that. And we haven't had any like silent reading time, so I really try my hardest to get a little bit in each day, even if it's not like our normal super long dear time. We still have math, but I'm ahead, so if we don't get to math, that's totally fine. And then science won't take very long at all, I don't believe. I think it's a pretty short lesson. Like some of the lessons are a little bit longer than others, and it kind of starts out like a slow pace. So it's kind of an up in the air day, I guess, because it's just going to depend on how long the housekeeping takes, probably doing that bio poem. And then I need to look, I really need them to read quietly. Like, I think that's going to be a must because I need to just double check everything that I need for parent night. I mean, we get out of school about 3:55. I'm on bus duty till about 4:15, and then we have until 6:30. So I have a couple hours to make sure I have like my ducks in a row, but I have to leave for just a minute because my husband's working late, so I have to take my son to work. And so yeah, I want to just kind of have my ducks in a row. I want to make sure like my classroom's clean and I just have everything I need. And so we're definitely gonna read for sure. That's gonna be a priority. So I better get going. I'll check back in with you guys in the afternoon, and fingers crossed the day goes as well as that it has been going. All right, bye. Everybody, it's come to the point of stash and go. I've been like just hiding. I got panicked. There was parents outside. I forgot that the younger kids go before us, so I just started putting stuff anywhere. So when tomorrow I can't find anything, who knows? I'm going to be searching all over. Just a teacher tip. Keep these items in your classroom. Deodorant, body spray, toothbrush. So for nights like tonight. So I'm going to freshen up and just double quick clean up, and then I'll talk to you when it's over. Good afternoon. It is about 12:20. I have about 10 minutes left of my lunch, so I just wanted to check in. I didn't check in after the parent night last night because I was so tired, and I was going to kind of show you like what I did and talk about it, but I just didn't. So I'm going to try to like do a recatch later. I was just so tired. I was so sore. I went home, took a shower, and just kind of like watched shows and stuff like that. Stayed up later than I should have, but I just kind of wanted like some me time. Then this morning, I could not wake up. I swear, even in the shower, I felt like I was asleep. And yeah, I've just been kind of struggling today. Like, I just have very low energy, and I'm just tired. I'm sore, and all of that. So, it's been a pretty good day. My class has been pretty good. We are on our late start today. where the kids come in late, but we come in for our PLC. So we just met and just talked about some different things. We're in the process of starting like our assessments and tracking our data and all of that. But right now we're still kind of in the housekeeping stages. And so we had our meeting and then the day started. So the day is a little bit shorter for the students, and we got like our morning work done. We've started our reading lesson and went over the vocab words and just talked about those articles. We're just reading 2 different non-fiction articles this week. One is about like soccer catching on in the U.S. and then one is about recess. So they were super engaged to the article today because it talked about how some schools were taking away recess and some putting restrictions on it, and talking about like why recess is important. So it kind of showed both sides. So they were engaged within the article. And just went over our vocab, and then we had our dear time, and we have been working in our writer's composition. Like, so in between like the activities, they've had some brain breaks, and they're currently working in their writer's notebooks from our writer workshop, and then went to lunch and recess. And so I'll pick them up in a few. We'll get back. We'll take an all classroom bathroom break because yesterday we timed it and it was like more than half of the time that it took for everyone to go by their groups. Because like I said, I used to send like 1 or 2 groups at a time. They were taking forever, even though we had several conversations about how it needed to be quicker. And then they started messing around in the bathroom. So I was just like, nope, we're going to all class bathroom breaks. And it went quick. It was smooth. So I think we're going to do that for a while. And then maybe try again for them to go by themselves eventually. So that's all. So when we get back, we'll do the bathroom break, and then they'll finish writing, but probably not writing much longer. And then we're going to move on to, I think, math. I can't see my lesson plans. I'm open to my calendar. I'm pretty sure math is next. So busy day. I still have to prep some stuff. I have another to-do list started of things that I'm wanting to get done by tomorrow. It looks like a lot more. A lot of it's just printing different things, and I wanted to make sure I wrote it out so I didn't forget to print something. And a couple things was I needed to laminate a few things. And yeah, most of it's just like copies and stuff like that. But tomorrow is my observation. She'll be here sometime probably during my reading block. And I'm not looking forward to it, honestly, to be honest. And I think it's just because I'm so tired. Like, I'm honestly not nervous like I normally would be nervous, but then I sort of am, and then I'm kind of nervous that I'm not nervous. You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't I be more nervous? But I think it's just because I'm so tired. So I think later tonight I'll probably be nervous, or in the morning. And I'm only nervous until like they first walk in, and then I kind of like settle down. And then once I get my feedback for my first observation each year, then I kind of feel better. Like, that they liked what they saw, and then I'm kind of like, okay, like I can keep feeling like I can do what I'm doing and it's working. But it makes me a little nervous every year, especially because every year I've had a new principal my first time. So I'm being observed tomorrow. So I have a few things to do. I always, for some reason, feel like if the room is extra clean, it always makes me feel less stressed. And thankfully we had parent night last night, so the room is pretty clean. So I don't have to like do a lot of like cleaning. But we'll have to make sure the kids have their desks picked up before we leave, like we always do. But so yeah, I need to prep a few things for my lessons tomorrow because it's the end of our unit. Not the end of our unit. I think we have one more week. No, it might be. I think we have one more week of our unit. But basically, our curriculum is only I might need to go. I'll leave in a minute. But our curriculum is only a Monday through Thursday thing. Like on Fridays, we don't do anything. Sometimes we talk about vocab or like take a quiz or a comprehension, but there's no like actual direct teaching on Fridays. So anyways, I better go. I need to pick up my kids from recess, and I'll check back in later. It's 6:54. It is Wednesday. It's at nighttime. I'm at my school. I had to come up and get some work done because I just have like to-do lists a mile long, and it's been stressing me out. So I think I showed you the list earlier today. I've actually gotten quite a few things off. A few things Oh, and I have a few more to mark off, actually. So, woohoo. Let's see. 1, 2, 6, 7. So I think I have enough. So I came up here to do some printing because a lot of times I'll print from my house because I have the HP Instaprint program. But I ran out of like copies. I mean, you can still run them, but I just don't want to pay for it when I can do it at school for free. So I came up here to do some copies. I was just going to like double check and kind of pick up my room a little bit. I need to get my agenda on the board for tomorrow, so it's just one less thing that I have to do tomorrow. And I wanted to grab some papers and things that I wanted to take home to grade. I don't know that I'll grade them tonight, but at least they'll be at home. I think I'm going to have like a grading party this weekend. So I printed these vocab cards. What I do with, no, don't mix up. I'll show you. Let's see. Hold on, I'm trying to grab one and like show you what I do with them. Okay, so essentially one of the cards is going to say one of the vocab words, which was lurk, because we were learning about like the rainforest, and then the other cards or one of the cards has a definition. Obviously this one doesn't match up, but essentially they play memory with them. You put all of the cards face down, and I'm doing this with 2 sets of vocab words, last week's words and this week's word, just so they can have review. And so you put them all face down and you kind of just play memory. So like you look for lurk, that one doesn't match up, you keep looking until you find the definition type deal, just like a memory game. I call it concentration though. But like, the only thing I don't like about these cards, can you see that? It says nourish means, and then gives the definition. When I make these myself, I would just say, like, I wouldn't say nourish means, I would just say provide what is needed for life and growth. And then they also, while they're playing, have to like know, like, does this actually mean nourish? So this makes it a little bit easier for them, but these are already made on the website for Making Meaning. I don't really know the purpose. It just says vocab cards. It doesn't really say what they're meant for, but I just printed them off on cardstock and cut them. And that makes it a little bit easier for me because then I don't have to type them in or make like a table or anything. So I just prefer not for it to say like this word means blank, 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 because then it just provides that extra challenge for the words that they're not familiar with. But this helps them because every time they get a match, I make them read it, and then I make them say like lurk means, so that they're like, they have it in their brain, everyone else is hearing them read it, and they usually play in partners or groups. So I didn't have to print like a gazillion million cards. I'm having them play, and I'm doing 2 weeks of vocab. I'm just going to have them play within their table groups, because since there's like 14 words, I think, or 12 words altogether, it gives it a little bit more of a challenge, and is able to play with more people. If it were only like 6, then it's not as fun if you're playing with like 4 people. So I'm just doing it that way. So that's something we're going to do tomorrow after we kind of do a mini reading lesson. So I got a lot off my to-do list. I have my emergency sub plans done. I had to like redo the whole thing because I'm departmentalized this, or no, sorry, I'm so tired. I'm self-contained this year, so I've never taught math or science or social studies, like, or basically I may have taught those in different ways, but I have never had the same group of kids all day. So I needed to add a lot of things to my sub plans just in case I ever get sick, and it's been stressing me out for the beginning of the year because I have 4 kids, and I just was so worried that like me or the kids would get sick and I wouldn't have like sub plans. And our principal, she's a very like hands-on principal, and a lot of others aren't, and she would be the type that would be like, I'll cover your class. So I was just like, oh my gosh, if I do not have like emergency sub plans, then, and sometimes I'll take my lesson plan book home, so then my normal lesson plans wouldn't even be here, which I've been trying to get in the mindset of making a second copy, like copying it and at least leaving it on my desk every day just in case, but I keep forgetting to do that. So eventually I will, but I have emergency sub plans now. I'll show you what I put in there eventually if I have a chance. But there's like a fly in my room. It's driving me crazy. I swear, I'm not crazy. So I'm going to pick up. I'm going to clean up my desk and organize some of the things that I've gotten out and just look to see if there's anything that has to be done on this to-do list. I mean, not really has to, but if there's anything that I can do. Oh my gosh. Like, I hope you guys can see this. I really hope you can see that fly. See if there's anything that I can do here, and then if not, some of that stuff I'm just going to take home and do it later this evening after like my kids go to bed. So I don't want to be gone long. So I will check back in with you guys here in a few. Hey everybody, it is Thursday, September 13th. So it's afternoon, or not the afternoon, it is afternoon. It's after my lunchtime or not after my lunchtime. Oh, I can't think, I'm already tired. It's my lunchtime. I have about like 10-ish minutes until I have to pick up my kids from, not specials. Oh my Lord, see, I don't even know what I'm doing today. I have to pick up my kids from recess. And so it's been a pretty busy day. The first thing we did today was talk about our intervention and enrichment time, and I explained some of the projects and things they're working on, which is going to be like our gifted kids are going to be working on an vision curriculum, which is, it's essentially a project-based learning, but it's a little bit more in-depth than some of like the PBLs you would print from like TBT. And then we read a like expository article called All Work No Play, and it's just about recess and how some places are putting so many restrictions on recess, and then kind of the importance of recess. And we went through text features, we went through our vocab and reviewed vocab from the week, because this program Making Meaning is like a 4-day curriculum. We went over the prefix chart because we've already been doing words with like pre and dis and I don't remember, but we talked about some of the different words, and we talked about our antonym and prefix chart. So we already have 2 up there, dissatisfied and satisfied, and then for the prefix we just did discontinue. So they're going to be adding as they're reading or as they're writing and finding things. And we talked about how the antonyms need to be like more than like day and night. Preferably if they have like dis or un or re or pre, that would be awesome. But, and then the prefix, it can be any prefix that they're finding. So we're just going to kind of add to our chart over the next like week or so. We talked about idioms as well, and I have an idiom of the week thing I got off TPT. I'll link it down below. Let me show you. It's down here on my desk, and it just explains what an idiom is, and then it has like a picture, and then it tells you the idiom apple of my eye, the meaning someone that is very special, and then gives you it in a sentence. So these are the 3 that we are currently talking about. You usually do like 1 a week, but we've just kind of done like 1 a day. Besides 1 day, and I'm just going to put them on my desk for now because I don't know where I'm going to put them in my room. I might only keep up the one from the week or keep them up so they can kind of see them. I have around my room, if you can see, like different idiom task cards just in various places around my room. And if we have time, we're going to do a Scoot activity. It's kind of going to be like a pre-test sort of, because we've only been talking about idioms the past couple days and we haven't went like super in depth, and it's just kind of going to be like an activity just to see how well they do. Then we have this idiom chart over here that we went through, and we talked about how they, instead of writing, like an author could, you know, use an idiom as an example to make it more interesting. And then I just put some other ones down here, just instead of writing, use these idioms, and we're going to add a few more. And then my whiteboard message, we haven't had a chance to fill it out at all. Typically they do it after morning work, but it's just been a jam-packed morning. So this is Thrilling Thursday. What's the most thrilling thing you've ever done? So we will do that at some point. So it's been a busy morning. We did go outside after our reading block for about 10-15 minutes because we just got done talking about recess and how some schools are like discontinuing recess and putting restrictions on it. And they have been asking for an extra recess pretty much all year. But, sorry, my lips are so dry. And we're getting a new playground, so there hasn't been as many fun things to do. And we were getting new mulch because of the health department's like regulations. So we weren't able to play on our swing set. We weren't able to play on one of the playgrounds. And then one is like torn out and getting rebuilt. So now that we have mulch, we have our swing set back and one of the playgrounds. So we went outside. They played football and catch and basketball and just played on the playgrounds for about 15-ish minutes. So later today we have math. We got the curriculum in today we haven't got our teacher's guides, but we have our workbooks. This is what it looks like. This is the student workbook that they use. It has an A book and a B book, and kind of sucks storing it. I wish it was just one big book, but that's okay. So it's really not meant for you to tear the pages out. It's more of just a practice book, and then you kind of go around and just kind of like grade 2 questions to kind of see where they're at. So for work to go home, you kind of are going to have to find something, because they really suggest you not tearing it out, because they always go back to old skills. So being able to look back and kind of like make those connections with previous things is best. So those will get passed out today. We'll probably just we are on lesson 1.6 or 7, I think, and it's about rounding up to 9 digits. So we'll probably pass those out and get our names written on them and all of that. Just the A one. I won't give them the B book yet. I'll wait. And start our math lesson. And then we have science, which we're talking about properties of matter. We're still going to do the science in a snap, which is just a quick balloon activity, and that is talking about the states of matter. So we're kind of talking about both. That's it. We have English. If we have a chance, we have English journals from the Being a Writer curriculum that I was maybe going to pass out and work with them on it, but I don't know. We usually do a little bit of English and writing. We finish up when we get back, but our day going outside for extra recess kind of threw it off by like 20 minutes, but that's okay. Everything's going to schedule. So I had my observation today, and that was during my reading block. So she was here for like going through the article, going through text features, going through like the anchor charts, and then they worked on that vocab activity. I'm pretty sure I showed you last night. If I didn't, I can show you, but I think I showed you like in a clip from last night after I cut them out. And she left sometime, I think, when they got started with the activity. I don't remember. I didn't even notice or leave. Someone asked, like, where'd the principal go? And I was like, oh, well, I guess she left. So I just try not to pay attention to them when they're in here, and that helps me not be nervous. Because if I like look at them too much, then I'm wondering like, what are they writing? What are they typing? And I don't know when I'm going to get my scores. Typically, my first principal a couple years ago, she sent them like the second she left your room, it like popped up and you saw all your scores. You had a chance to like review them, and then you met with her within like 10 days and went over the scores. But you had a chance to review them first, because if there's any like I can't think of the word, discrepancies, like maybe they gave you like a 3, which is effective, but you feel like you're highly effective because maybe they didn't see you use your smartboard or something. Then when you're in your conference, you kind of make those discussions. So like right now, my technology score might not be very high because I didn't use technology today, but I don't have technology. Like my smartboard doesn't work, but I use technology in different ways, like when I'm planning and things like that. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but that's why you kind of get to see your scores first. My last principal, it took her like a week usually till she got you your scores, and then you had 10 days to meet. This principal, when I was walking by, she was like, hey, do you have time today? If you want, you can come by on your plan. We can talk about like do your conference. So I guess I'm going to talk with her today. So I have no clue what my scores are, but I guess I'll be talking. My kids did really well. They were engaged, but it was like the last day of our weekly unit, I guess. It's really not a weekly unit, but like the last day of our week with it. And they were familiar with the vocab. They were familiar with the text features. They've already read the article once. Yeah, once. So they were engaged and they knew the information pretty much. The only thing they got stumped on was the can of worms one. That was a little bit hard for them, but they were kind of getting there. So, I mean, it went okay. I mean, I could have done this big production, but a lot of times I just try to do what I would do every day. I mean, some days, yes, I do like room transformations and like really, really engaging. Then other times it's not really less engaging, but I guess less exciting. But we got new curriculum and I wanted her to see me use it and not supplement and try to do this like dog and pony show. So hopefully she liked what she saw. My kids were good. So, I mean, I felt like my classroom management and the kids seemed engaged. So we'll see. You never know. I just, fingers crossed and pray for the best. And hopefully if there was something that she didn't like, that she can give me that constructive feedback to help me become a better teacher, because I feel like that's what they're here for. So if she has something, I'm happy to work on it and improve, because I'm always looking to, grow as an educator. So I will check back in with you. I'm going to pick up my kids from recess in just a minute, and I'll let you know how the rest of my day goes. Bye. Hey everybody, it's Friday, woohoo! And it's around 12:18. I still have about 10-ish minutes left of my lunchtime. I haven't checked in with you guys at all today. I was going to this morning and then got busy. The day's going pretty well so far. We started off the morning working on our project-based learning. They are planning like a travel vacation, and then I started my Gifted Kids on their Envision project, which is also similar to the PBL. They're planning a vacation. It's just a little bit more in depth and like meaty to it, but that's why I did the PBL for the non-Envision, like the non-Gifted Kids as well, so that way they're kind of working on something similar. So we worked on that after our morning work, and then we did our vocab quiz for our reading lesson this week. And then we did the idiom like task cards that were around the room, kind of just walk the room idiom. It says it's a Scoot activity, but I just had them hang them up around the room, and they just got clipboards and walked around the room. And then we went over the idioms and kind of gave the definition. They just had to walk around with a sheet like this, and they filled in the definitions, because we didn't get to do that the other day. I told them it's sort of like a pre-test-ish, like more of a participation grade, just to see how well they would do, because idioms are one of the things kids struggle with a little bit, because they're not as familiar with some of those phrases. And then it was pretty much lunchtime, so the things that we need to do, we have math books, woohoo, because I told you I think yesterday that we were going to do math, and then we got books, but then we found out we didn't have enough, and we did. They were just like in a classroom hiding basically. So I'm going to pass those out later for math time, and we are going to do a math lesson, and then we have a social studies quiz today, and then we should be able to get to science as well, because it's a pretty short little science lesson, just kind of reading a couple, not even really paragraphs, and then answering a couple wrap-up questions. The kids have been doing pretty good. They've had a really good week. We only had like one rough day as a whole, and that was like Monday, I think, but it's went pretty well every single day since then. A few have struggled here or there, but not like majorly or anything. But as of now, they've earned their Fun Friday, unless they just totally lose it before the end of the day. So we're probably going to do our Fun Friday before we do our social studies quiz, because later they're going to be, they're going to deliver our Freckles ice cream, which is just an ice cream shop once a month. It's kind of a fundraiser for our school, and they're going to be delivering it in the afternoon, and so they're going to need to like be sitting eating that, and that's usually the time we would have our Fun Friday. So I'm probably going to have our Fun Friday a little bit earlier, and then we'll do our social studies quiz, and we should be finishing up with that like around the time they're delivering our Freckles. And so they'll get a little bit of time to just like hang out while they're eating their ice cream, but it won't be like where they're able to play games or anything like that. So I think we're going to do our Fun Friday in the classroom instead of doing an extra recess or anything like that. I think we'll probably do STEM bins and like board games, and probably use the computers is what I'm thinking. But I don't know, I might take a vote, but I'm leaning more towards being in the classroom, because that way while they're doing Fun Friday, I can be doing a little bit of work like picking up, making lesson plans, or gathering any papers I might need to make copies of. I already made my weekly newsletter and sent that out to families, and then anybody that didn't come to parent night, I sent home a copy in their students folder, because the packet was on their desk, but I mean if they made it home, I have no clue. So I attached it in an email, and then just put in conference times that were still open, because it's getting close to that time of the year, surprisingly. I mean, we still have a month, but still, conferences are soon. So I've done that today while they were working around the room and doing the idiom like task cards. So it's been a pretty good day. Just a few things left to do, and hopefully it stays going as well as it's going thus far. And yeah, we'll just see. I will check back in with you in a little bit. I still have a little bit left of my lunch, but I forgot I'm going to go make copies of the social studies quiz because I couldn't find it this morning to make the copies. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll check back in with you later. Hey everybody, it's Friday. It's 5:30 at night. I'm on my way back to the school. I had to leave school pretty much after dismissal and contract time and run a few errands. And then my husband's been working late, so he's at home taking a shower. We're going to go have a family dinner tonight. And I just remembered that I forgot a few things at school. I thought I packed everything and I just completely forgot. So I'm going to the school because I need to get some papers that I planned on grading and like sorting this weekend. So while he's taking a shower, since we live close, I just decided to run. Oh, my hair is looking okay. It's driving me crazy, guys. So that's what I'm doing. So I just figured since I never got to update you on the rest of my day, I would just kind of fill you in real quick. After lunch, it went really well, pretty much till the last like very, very end, but they did pretty good. We had our deer time, so that way I really try to get that in every day, even if we don't get to read as long as other days. We did our social studies quiz. We had our Fun Friday. They got about, I don't know, maybe 25 minutes. And they just used, I just drew names on Class Dojo for, which we don't use Class Dojo as a classroom management program. I just use it for like their random like partner grouping or random generator and the little toolkit that it has pretty much. But anyways, so I just picked random names for the 5 Chromebooks that we had. I was going to try to get the cow, but there was another teacher using it and I didn't want to even try to hunt the other one down. So those 5 people were able to use the class Chromebook. I haven't brought in the class iPads and like tablets yet. And then we used the STEM bins for the first time, and some played board games and some just drew, but it was actually really nice. They were actually like very like engaged and quiet, and that was kind of cool. Like, I mean, I never would have thought they would have been as into the STEM bins, especially the Play-Doh one. Like, they were into some Play-Doh. I was like, dang, I need to buy some more if they are like that into it. So that was like a hot ticket item for the fun. So I'm here. I'm gonna run in really quickly. Okay, sorry guys. I just wanted to run in. Hold on, I need to put my phone where it normally goes. Okay, pulling out of my school. Just walking quick, trying to hurry up just because my husband takes a quick shower. Oh man, I got a lot of papers to go through and grade. Which technically, I'll show you this pile, but I have not everything is like for a grade. Some of it is just some pre-test and other assessments that I need to just get sorted because they've gotten mixed up with things, and I need to put those in the kids' like portfolios. So not everything's like an actual like grade. Some of it's just organizing some things, and a few things I think were things that I was going to copy. So I have so much to do this weekend. Anyways, so my day, yeah, we did Fun Friday, and then we had our Freckles ice cream in the classroom today at the end of the day, and then my kids were kind of struggling through it a little bit, so did I tell you that we found math workbooks for everyone? Because my class was the one that was like missing like a whole bunch. Anyways, we found some, so super excited. So I passed those out. They wrote their names on the front cover and the inside, and then they have random like ongoing practice pages throughout. A lot of it, some of it's 4th grade skills they already know, or some of the skills we've already learned. And so since we didn't have time for a math lesson, we just started one of those, like just continuing practice of some of the skills that we've learned this week. So they started working on that. Oh, there's a deer. Wow, so cute, pretty. And then it was time for specials, and during specials, my team and I, we had some supplies donated from Walmart, so my team and I went in there and just gathered some things that we wanted, just some like whiteout and some cardstock, and a couple, they had binders and mechanical pencils and just things like that. And then we also, the school or Scholastic, I'm not sure, someone, either Scholastic gave them to us or our school bought them, some lower level text of very like high interest books for some of our low readers, and each grade level, I think 3rd through 5th received a box. So we went in there and sorted through those and took those back to our classroom. And then our math curriculum is in, so our teachers' guides were here. They were in the library, so we went and got those together and just like labeled them and just like topped. So didn't get a lot of work done on my plan, but that's okay. So I have a busy weekend ahead. I have to lesson plan, I have to grade and sort papers, and my house, oh my goodness guys, it needs cleaned and laundry like no other. My kids have soccer games. We have 3 soccer games this weekend. One of my students has a soccer game this weekend right after my son, and so I'm really going to try to go to that because I'll get to watch like 3 or 4 of my students. And then one of my former students is having a birthday party this weekend, and she invited me to that. So I might try to swing by and make a surprise like visit. So lots to do. I hope you like this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked what you see and it helps reach other people. And then subscribe if you want to see, because I mean, I made a weekly vlog, y'all. I mean, it's like a miracle. So my plan is to do this every week, or I mean, as often as possible. So I'll talk with you guys later. I'm trying to gather up all of these papers that I have now dropped. Let's see. I'll show you. Is this a lot? It's a lot, right?